Alright, now in this session, we will see how to install and configure Oracle 18c grid infrastructure. We have completed the first four steps on this slide. We are going to perform the fifth step, which is install and configure grid infrastructure in this session. So let us go to the system. Before you proceed with the installation, it is better to reboot both nodes once so that you will not have any issues at a later stage. It is always good practice to reboot once, especially once you configure shared storage. It is advisable to reboot the nodes. I forgot to do that in the earlier session. So let us reboot both nodes once. All right, now log into node 1 as a root user. Open terminal window, and now we have to download Oracle 18c grid infrastructure. I have already downloaded and kept it on the host system. Now I will copy the downloaded software to node 1. We will create one staging directory under U01. Um, I will create a staging directory, stage, and under stage I will create another directory named 18c. And this entire directory path will make a grid as the owner, U01, stage 18c. Sorry, grid we install U01 stage 18c. All right, now what we'll do, we'll copy the downloaded software from host machine to this guest machine node 1. So now I will switch to host machine window. Um, now I am on the host machine, and I have a directory here 18c. Under that I have grid software downloaded, which is a image based file, that is a GIF file. So what we'll do, I will SCP this to grid, the IP address of the first node 192.168.1.164, and the path is U01 stage 18C. Okay. Earlier I have assigned the same IP to another machine. So now this machine also has this IP. That's why I'm getting some connection issue. I just have to do one small configuration here. Let me go to my home directory and I have to remove the earlier entry for this host. Yeah, this one, last one. Remove this and save. Now let me try the SCP once again. Are you sure you want to proceed? Yes. All right, now it has started copying. This may take some time. Let us wait, and I will stop the video here and come back. All right, now you can see the copy has been done. Now let us go to node 1 and we should be able to see the file now. So we have copied under 18C directory, and you should see the grid infrastructure image zip file. Now what we need to do, we just have to extract this into grid infrastructure home directory. So let us log in, switch to grid user and extract this to the grid infrastructure home directory. Let us do this only on one node. Don't extract on every node. You just have to extract on only one node. During installation and configuration, this software will be copied to the other nodes. So just unzip this. Change to U01 stage 18C. Unzip. And where you want to unzip this? U01 app 18 grid. So this is the home directory of grid infrastructure. So let us wait for this extract to complete. All right, now you can see the GIF file has been extracted to home directory of grid infrastructure installation. So let us now go to the grid home directory and start the configuration by executing grid setup.sh. So before this, we as a root user execute xhost plus, then switch to grid user, go to grid home directory, and if required, set a display variable because we are going to start one graphical tool. That's it. Now grid setup.sh. So this will start Oracle Universal Installer, which will configure the grid home. Now it started. Now let us go ahead and configure. The first one, configure Oracle grid infrastructure for a new cluster. Click next. And configure an Oracle standalone cluster. Click next. And the cluster name, default name is rack cluster. Scan name, whatever name we have defined in etc host. So in etc host, my scan name was scan1.euclidit.com. And for scan port, instead of 1521, let us take 1520. And that's it. Click next. The scan name must be the one that you entered in etc host file. Now you have to choose all the nodes that should be part of this cluster. First node is automatically selected because we have started this program on the first node. You have to add other nodes by clicking add button. And for the other node, public host name. Second node, public host name is rack2.euclidit.com. Node role is hub default. Virtual host name rack2-vip.euclidit.com. And scroll down and say OK. So I have added the second node also to the list. Now we have to set up SSH connectivity between these two nodes for grid user. So for that, click SSH connectivity and provide the password of the grid user and say setup. Successfully established password SSH connectivity. Say OK. Click next. Now the network interface usage. Normally it would select the correct settings, but ensure the first one ENP0S3 for which we have assigned 192 series IP should be the public one, and the second interface with the name ENP0S8 for which we assigned 10.0 IP should be ASM and private. Third one, virtual bridge, don't touch that. So click next. Now storage, we are going to use ASM for storage configuration, and that is the default setting. Configure ASM using block devices. Click next. And For a grid infrastructure management repository, you can create a separate disk group. Default is yes. If you don't want to create a separate disk group, you can choose no. So for OCR and voting file and ASM parameter file and password file, grid infrastructure management repository, it will use a single disk group. You can choose yes if you want to have a separate disk group. I am choosing no because I want to reduce the number of disk groups that we create. Now the disk group name default is data and redundancy change to external and click on change disk discovery path because it is not showing our disks. Click on change discovery path and change the default discovery path to dev Oracle ASM disks. So this is the path, operating system path where our ASM disks are created. Click OK. Now you should be able to see all our ASM disks. What we'll do, we have 10 disks, each of 5 GB. We'll choose 1 to the first 6 disks, 1 to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 disks, or let us choose 7th one also, 7 disks. So that means 7 into 5 GB, 35 GB we are allocating to data disk group. The remaining disks we will use to create a fraud disk group at a later stage for our database. So that's it. These are the selections, choices on this page. Say click next. Now ASM instance passwords for sys and ASN SNMP user. I want to set same password for both users. Since I typed a weak password, you might see this prompt, say yes. On the next screen, just click next, click next. And on this screen, normally the installation program would automatically select the correct groups, but ensure Oracle ASM administrator group is ASM admin, Oracle ASM DBA group is ASM DBA, Oracle ASM operator group is ASM open. Click next. And Oracle base directory, Oracle home directory, we must specify. Our base directory is user1 app grid. So click browse and choose that user1 app grid. And software location, that is the home directory, is user1 app 18 grid. So that is correctly selected. Click next. Inventory directory, user1 app or inventory, and inventory group name we install, that is correct. Click next. Root to script execution, select automatically run configuration scripts and provide a root password. Click next. It will perform the checks to see if your system meets all your prerequisite checks. Alright, some checks may report warning or failed status. Let us see what checks have failed, what checks have warning. Hard limit failed, soft limit failed. Of course, these are fixable. Yes, we can fix them. Then package CVQ disk warning, that is also fixable. The remaining checks resolve.integrity, scan, NTP, these are expected to fail in the lab environment because we are not going to use DNS. So because of this, these checks will fail. But for other checks, hard limit, soft limit, package, these are fixable equal to yes. What we will do, we will click on fix and check again and say OK. The installation program will automatically fix them and come back to you. Alright, say OK. Now you see fix up results. It has successfully fixed these three failed ones earlier. Then now verification result. Uh, say now ignore all and say next. Say continue and the summary page, you can review the summary page once again and ensure everything is proper. If you find any mistake anywhere, you can go back to that respective screen and correct that and come back here again. So alright, looks good. Now click on install, which will start the installation and the configuration of the nodes. So this will take some time and I'm pausing the video now. We'll come back at appropriate stage. So when prompted for running root scripts, just say yes. It will automatically execute the root scripts. Alright, now we can see the installation has been completed and cluster verification utility failed. This is expected because whatever checks failed before starting the installation will fail after completing the installation. So you can just ignore this. Otherwise, in the backdrop, you can see all green marks against each of these tasks except for the last one, cluster verification utility. So this is fine. Say OK and click next. Are you sure you want to continue? Say yes. Say close. That's it. Now grid infrastructure installation has been completed. You can do small verification also. Login as root user, exit as grid, and you can run this command. User one app. You can see grid bin crsctl check cluster -r. This will show you the cluster services status on all the nodes. So you can see all these services on both nodes, rack 1 and rack 2 are online. This proves that the cluster is functioning properly and our installation of grid infrastructure is successful. So that's it for this session. In the next session, we will see how to install Oracle 18c rack database.